true, Mary.
Yeah.
Hey, look at her. She looks miserable.
Yeah.
Look at her. Oh,
Life
boy.
is the worst.
Life sucks since I stopped drinking. Oh, boy. Cavaliers are in town tonight. Well, they lost to the Jazz last night. But, boy, that Karl Malone, he is very hard to guard. He's very hard to guard.
Yeah, especially when he's not playing.
Because he's a mailman.
Wait, what? He's not playing? No. Not Chris Paul. The Jazz, they've got Furkir Murderfash, a young prospect from Hungary, I believe, is over there, right? Furkir Murderfash, is that a guy?
I don't think so.
Oh, anyway, 126 to 113 was how the Cavs came up short last night. They are in town tomorrow night to play the Celtics at the Romo Fijo. I'll be at that game. I haven't seen a Cavs game in a minute.
Hey, that sounds fun.
That is a 7 o'clock game tomorrow night against Spider Edwards and the Boston Celtics. They've got a killer team over there. So we'll see what happens. That's Kyrie Irving and the Boston Celtics.
No.
I'm sorry?
No.
No, he plays for the Nets now, doesn't he?
Yeah.
That is Robert Parrish and the Boston Celtics.
Yep.
He's there, right?
Listen, if there's one guy that could still be in the league from that time, it's Robert Parrish.
Not Bill Russell? Okay,
hey,
listen.
Bill Russell's hanging in there.
Yeah, he is.
Bill Russell.
Yeah, sure. Anytime he pops up, it's good news. Also good news, by the way, congratulations if you are keeping a convention going in Cleveland. We give away tickets for the Autorama. Comic-Con's coming. They are canceling conventions from sea to shining sea because people are flipping out about the coronavirus.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
And this is when it starts to affect the local economies of cities. McCormick Place is a huge convention center in Chicago. It might even be called something else now, but when I was growing up, it was McCormick Place. They canceled a huge trade show that usually brings like 60,000 people.
Wow.
They canceled the International Denver Conference. That's supposed to usually draw about 11,000 people. Seattle says...
That gets people that are Denver from all over the world. John Denvers, Bob Denvers, all of them.
Those two Denvers, yes, both dead, but those two Denvers, you know, if you want to pay homage...
Family, though?
Yes,
It
it is the International Denver Conference. Mm-hmm. If you want to pay homage to either Bob or John... and extended family can get out there. Seattle, our bureau chiefs in Seattle, and this is especially interesting given that Washington has been a real hot zone for this thing. Seattle says that the Emerald City Comic-Con is going to go ahead as scheduled.
Hey.
They're like, ain't nothing going to break on my stride. You ain't going to make me cancel this thing just because a couple of people got sick. So there's all these trade shows around the country that are trying to make the last-minute decision, are we going to cancel these things or not? But you have tons of vendors and visitors coming in. There's a lot of money spent on these things. So that begins to really kind of cut into your local economy. So the fact that Autorama is still going on, Comic-Con, I think, is this weekend here,
Yeah.
Wizard World. We're giving away
Starts
tickets
Friday.
for that later on, too.
Starts Friday.
Comic-Con tickets, $450 all this week here on the Alan Cox Show. Beautiful. All fizzed up. That's still going on. That's at the Agora, 21st.
Lots of stuff.
Mac tournament.
Yeah.
All this stuff. People in Cleveland aren't so easily scared.
That's right.
Sure, they're human beings, and human beings by their very nature are prone to fear and easily cowed.
You think people are afraid to come out to Bill Squire's
Basketball shooting challenge?
Basketball shootout challenge?
Hell no, I don't think they're scared to come out to that.
They're ready because they want to win that trip to Vegas.
I think they're scared to call it the wrong thing.
Things. Yeah, well, it's one thing gets programmed in, and then...
Well, it's all right. Yeah. There have been a lot of, James Lipton died. We mentioned that yesterday. He was the host of Inside the Actors Studio for many, many years, and he left that show a few years back. I don't know if they got somebody to do the show after that. I don't even know if it's still on. It was on Bravo for many years. It was like one of the linchpin shows before that network really kicked in with all the Real Housewives of Hickenlooper, New Jersey or whatever. So James Lipton, you could turn on any time of the day and see Inside the Actors Studio. And so he became kind of a pop culture icon. Will Ferrell used to parody him on SNL. Regularly, by the way. They would go back to that well quite a bit. Because if they had a host who could accurately impersonate another celebrity, they would just say, let's just do Inside the Actors Studio. The clip I played yesterday was Kate Hudson impersonating Drew Barrymore. And so if they could get anybody that would come on there and do a great job, Duchovny would do Jeff Goldblum or something. But he would always, I don't know if you guys watched Inside the Actor's Studio, but he would famously, it was on for 25 years.
Yeah.
He would famously have these cards, these 5 questions he would ask the person at the end, like, what is your favorite curse word? What is, and frankly, the only person who ever came out of that actor's studio to become famous was Bradley Cooper. And many years ago, I think De Niro...
Like he did the Inside the Actor's Studio before he was Bradley Cooper?
He was in the audience one time and then asked a question, I think.
Yeah, because the audience were students at the Tisch School for Drama. That's where they shot this, in New York. So the audience was all students. So they would ask questions of whoever the person was. So in the early days...
And someone saw Bradley Cooper ask a question?
Yeah, of Robert De Niro. And so, because all these people were like, oh, nobody ever comes out of that school. James Lipton gets all this... credit, but they were like, well, Bradley Cooper came out, so he's
That's pretty cool.
Famously the kind of alumnus that they'll go back and find him asking a question in the crowd.
For years and years and years, for decades, I was asked, what guest in the whole world do you want the most? You know what my answer was? Go ahead. The night that one of our graduated students has achieved so much that he comes back to our stage and sits next to me as my guest, and Bradley was the one.
I'll tell you what, and if you've ever seen that clip, they would do wide shots of these audiences, and these are all aspiring actors.
Good-looking people.
90s, 2000.
Yeah.
Well,
really?
I mean, that's what jumped out at me is when you saw, and granted, hindsight's 2020, but when you see Bradley Cooper in that clip ask a question of Robert De Niro 15 years ago, you go, that's a good-looking dude. Because a lot of people would stand up and go, hi, I'm a first-year drama student. And
probably longer than that, right?
Probably 20 years maybe. He's been working for a while, but I mean, you'd look at some of these other people and be like, that guy's never going to make it. Never going to make it. And nothing about them, that, they might have been like a screenwriter. They weren't all aspiring actors. But they had asked James Lipton they asked him the question on the cards. One of the questions was, if heaven exists, what would you like God to say to you? What would you like to hear God say?
Oh, man, why'd that give me chills?
Because you're a religious person.
Ooh, I don't know the answer to that. Good job,
you're
baby.
a rube.
Good job.
That'd probably be a nice compliment from God.
It's short and sweet.
You nailed it, man.
Good job.
Yeah.
That's a nice thing to say.
I think that's what I would like God to say to me.
God would say to me, well.
Well, that's kind of along the lines of the Lipton thing when he was on The View a couple of years ago, or he was on CNN a couple of years ago.
Here's my question. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates, James Lipton?
You see, Jim, you were wrong. I exist. But you may come in anyway.
You may come in anyway.
Well, if it isn't Mr. God doesn't make sense to me. Come on in, you idiot.
Well, God doesn't make sense to me, though.
Lack of faith working out for you now, buddy.
God doesn't make sense to me is different than God doesn't exist.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's one of the reasons I don't think God exists, because it doesn't make sense.
Well, not everything that doesn't make sense to you doesn't
exist. Well, that's awfully myopic, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things that don't make sense. Quantum physics doesn't make sense to me, but I know it exists.
I'm not saying...
Neuroscience doesn't make sense to you.
But it can be explained.
No, it can't.
Neuroscience can't be explained?
If someone came here and explained neuroscience to you, you'd be like, I get it.
No, I didn't say I would be able to understand it, but it can be explained.
Yeah.
He could understand the logic behind neuroscience.
Okay. We can understand the logic behind faith, too, though.
There is no logic in faith.
Sure there is.
No, by its definition, a leap of faith means you cast reason and logic aside and take a leap of faith. It's not a leap of information. It's a leap of faith.
A leap of information. I like that.
But anyway, that's fine. I'm just saying that you can't, by definition, But that's why, people think I'm an atheist. They're always like, what? I'm like, I've never said I'm an atheist. I grew up hardcore Catholic, which just has given me years and years and years of credits toward mocking religious people because I've earned them. But I can't say God doesn't. We've had this conversation on the show many times with less than zero resolution, obviously, because you're never going to get... It's mostly us just, cranking each other off. But...
which makes God so mad.
Oh, man, I'll tell you what. I had a dream that I was skiing. So, I can't prove that God, obviously... No one can. That's why religious people are so frustrating to me. Because they... treat everyone as though they know something that we don't know. And they just don't. We all know the same, which is nothing. about that, about what comes after, about who's up there.
Yeah, but it's the same. I mean, I guess you're right. And then you don't know, but people follow like intuitions and things like that. When someone says, "I know that I'm meant to do a whatever," I know that I'm meant to be a lawyer. I'm meant to be a lawyer.
But that's irrespective of religion.
But I'm saying it's the same kind of. I know it. You can't prove that I'm meant to be a lawyer.
Yeah, but how many people do you know that don't follow their intuition?
But what I'm saying is that you can't prove someone saying that they're meant to be a pastor or they're meant to follow God, or they feel drawn to that in the same faith that someone is drawn to, in the same faith that someone is drawn to a profession.
But that's faith in yourself. That's not faith in something else. You know, part and parcel of Alcoholics Anonymous or NA or any one of those 12-step programs is belief in a higher power.
As you understand it, so it doesn't have
that's
to.
Right.
Yeah, it can
fundamentally,
be
it doesn't have to be religious
it could be your
in nature.
motorcycle.
I think
anything.
I think it began that way. The higher power in the infancy of those programs was God.
Yeah.
But then you're like, well, there's a lot of atheist alcoholics.
I don't have a motorcycle.
You know,
there's atheist meetings.
Yeah.
Those are the fun ones.
That's AAA.
Yeah. AAA, not to be confused with when your car breaks down, not the same people you want to call.
Somebody here need a tow? No. We're alcoholics, so we don't believe in God. Oh, right. That's next door down.
Yeah.
Yeah. How the hell do we get on that? Oh, the Bernard Pivot question.
Yeah.
James
Lipton,
I hope heaven has poppers. That's the only thing I
Poppers,
request.
like drugs?
Otherwise, it's not going to be heaven to him. There are people who believe, and that's what I find. Listen, I think as long as you're not making life difficult for another person,
believe whatever you
want.
Mm-hmm.
So there are some people who believe that heaven, if it exists, is whatever you think it is or whatever.
Yeah.
For Poundcake, he might die. I mean, he will at 35, according to the Ouija board. He might die and get up there, and it will be like a gay club.
Oh my God! Like
Poppers
literally, that would be
hot
heaven
pants
to me.
and the whole thing, right?
Like hell would be like, oh well, since you're gay, we have put you in ADSEG and you're with a bunch of women. I'm like, no!
ADSEG. Wait, heaven's a prison?
Hell.
No, he said
That would
hell.
be my hell.
Yeah, I'm with you on the whole not making other people's lives difficult, and that's why I like to mock religion so much. Not the people that are just out trying to do good things, but there's a lot of people that are trying to force their beliefs on other people and take away rights from people, and that's where I really have a big problem with religion.
I think this is where most people, even religious people, have a problem with other people who do that in some cases.
The comedian who featured my room Final Fridays at All Saints this weekend, his name's Zach Wyckoff. He's a comedian from Cincinnati, and he's a Christian, like active Christian, works for a church. But he and I had a lot of really
So he hasn't been in the business that long then?
Of comedy? Yeah, he's 5 years. He hasn't
Not that long.
Lost all of his faith yet.
That's right.
Don't worry, Alan. I planted some seeds.
We went to brunch on Saturday, and we walked around the West Side Market, and we had some really good talks about kind of things like that, where he's believing, and he kept prefacing things. Oh, I know it sounds stupid, but I know a lot of people don't believe it. I'm like, you don't have to say that kind of stuff, man. If you're out here just being a good person and believing what you believe, nobody's mad at you. It's like you said, the people who are protesting outside of Planned Parenthoods
and I had
those
to talk
kind
with
of
him
people.
about things like that, because there are very good churches that do a lot of good things, and they are teaching people to be better people and be happier and be sharing and care and all that
love
stuff.
your enemies.
Yeah, and all that stuff.
Yada.
Plenty of churches that have the God loves you, no exception sign.
Mm-hmm.
That's a place where that's a good place to be.
There's like non-denominational churches and things like that.
Their eyes still light up at 10s and 20s. But I take your point.
You get what I'm saying. Like, there's the ones that aren't as strictly like bedded in a certain type
The
of
ones
religion.
that aren't trying to pass bills like keeping trans kids from being able to see doctors, and if those doctors help those trans kids, they put them in jail. So people
Are
like
you for
that.
real?
Yeah, it's a real bill right
that.
now because of
Where,
course you
here?
know. Yeah, in Ohio. Yeah.
What is going on in Ohio, man?
We have turned
Religious-
into a red
Trans
state.
kids can't freaking go get help. Women can't do anything with their own bodies.
Right.
Like, what is...
And that's the kind of religious people that I have a huge problem with.
Trans people ruined everything.
Poundcake, this is not the time. Listen.
I'm trying to put doctors in jail for helping kids that don't feel like they're in their right body, and they're just trying to help them. My son would be dead if it wasn't for the doctor that helped him.
Yeah.
Ohio is a state that's being pulled in a lot of different directions. There are people that are really trying to... some people have to be pulled kicking and screaming into the 20th century.
Yeah.
And then there are other people that were like, we gotta... Progress is not going backward. Progress is never like the way it used to be. There's a lot of that now. Let's get back to the way it used to be. That ain't progress.
I don't remember if I talked about this on air or not, but I go to Planned Parenthood. I have talked about that before, but it's because I don't have health insurance. So it's one of those things where it's like,
good for you.
I didn't realize until my last visit when I went that they had lost their funding, their federal funding. So they used to have a sliding scale where you could just bring in like a W-2, or you could, if you didn't have proof of income, if you were unemployed or whatever, they kind of did it based on a what can you pay type of thing. And that was gone when I went there. I brought in my new W-2, and they were like, "Oh, we can't do that anymore. It's not a sliding scale. Now it's just a base rate. So anything you do, so I have to get a procedure done in a couple months." And they were like, "Unfortunately, this is like a $600 procedure. Do you still want to schedule it?" And they give you a discount if you can pay day of. So if you can pay day of, it's only going to cost me like $480. But I'm like, it's a very important procedure for women. It's necessary to
But
get.
that's also the...
Why are you waiting that long to get an abortion?
Well, it's not an abortion.
Oh, well then, you mean they do other things?
They do other things.
What? I thought they just did abortions, then sold the baby parts.
This is such a good point, Bill. You're right. They do other
That
things.
is gross.
No. Yeah, because women have to have PAPs every year, and those cost a couple $100 to begin with. And then if something comes back abnormal on the PAP, you have to have what's called a colposcopy. I had one of these last year, and I was all bent out of shape thinking I had cancer, which I might again. We'll find out. But this procedure costs $600, and there's women out there who need to get it who don't have $600 extra because they lost their funding. Like it's.
So what do you do? You just like don't get it?
You can't if you can't afford it. What are you supposed to do?
But I'm saying, is that hazardous to your health if you don't get it?
Yes, it's a cancer screening.
That's
they
the
take
problem.
cells out of you, and you only have to do this if they find something abnormal, and then they biopsy the cells, and if they catch it, they can prevent ovarian and cervical cancer. And these are for women who don't have health insurance otherwise. That's why this place exists. And then now they're like, well, we can't really do anything. We can't move on it. We can't budge. Because we have no money. So if you can't pay the $600 for it, you can't do it.
That's the insidiousness, too, of a lot of these states that are making these draconian laws against women's health, because for a long time, people were worried about Roe v. Wade being overturned outright.
Yeah.
And in lieu of that, the states have just passed so many laws that make it next to impossible for those places to operate as they normally... Like
and
Missouri is a state that,
It's like you
they're
said,
like in
they
the
think,
18th century.
They think people are just out there, they need Planned Parenthood for abortions, and, you're... just slutting it up and you got herpes, and it's like, no,
Slutting it up.
I want to make sure that I don't have ovarian cancer.
But they also these are also people that think if you get raped, you should have to have the baby.
Right.
Like they're backwards thinking, and they make no sense, and I can't understand.
God wouldn't have let anything happen to you if you weren't meant to have that child.
Kind of thought, yeah.
Here's one for you.
Ready?
You're celebrating a year of sobriety today.
Correct.
You find out next one of these screenings,
April 11th.
you have terminal cancer.
I'll be at the funny stop, by the way.
Laughter is the best medicine.
That's true. Maybe I'll just go see Bill and be cured.
Do you start drinking again?
If I found out I'm terminally ill?
Yes.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Like, you got a couple weeks to live?
Well,
I
they
got
never
things to
really
do,
know. I
man.
mean, they told my dad 10 years ago that he wouldn't last until Christmas, and they diagnosed him in June.
Yeah.
And now he's fine.
There's a lot of people I'd want to go see. I have friends in other states and things like that, and if I found out, I don't have a lot of money, but with the money I had, if I found out...
Make them come to you.
Well, but if I found out I had one year to live, I probably would quit working and just go see
You go on the Mary
places
Santora
and-
farewell tour.
Yeah, say hi to friends I haven't seen in a while, go see the Grand Canyon, that kind of stuff.
The Grand Canyon.
That's a bucket lister.
You've never seen the Grand Canyon?
No.
I mean, I haven't, but I assume I'm in a distinct minority of people.
I've been to it, but I didn't get to see it because it's so foggy.
For real?
Yes.
What a bummer.
It was so foggy.
But it is kind of big. You couldn't see it through the fog. There was that much
telling
fog.
you, there was so much fog that we couldn't see the Grand Canyon.
I think you take a step too far. Like, whoa, you
it was
almost
like
fall down.
all full up. Like the fog was in the Grand Canyon, and like going up into.
Trying to take a selfie.
What a bummer.
Like we went to like there was one spot where it was like later in the day it was kind of burnt off.
Yeah.
And you could kind of see some stuff, but it was really disappointing
Man.
that we went to the Grand Canyon. You're like, yeah, I can't see anything.
Wow, I fell off my burro
Look at
all the
all
way
of
down.
its glory.
Yeah.
By the way,
Beautiful.
Mary, watching your video from exactly 1 year ago, I noticed how pale you were.
Yeah. Well, I was
malnourished.
sick. Yeah. I was just full of Tito's and White
You look a
Claw.
lot better. You're a lot fuller in the face. A lot.
thanks.
I don't know if you tan on a regular basis now.
I
but
don't.
like
I'm just drinking water.
You have
That's-
he's trying to say you have a rosy glow.
Oh, okay. I'll
Yeah.
take a rosy
She's
glow.
glowing.
I like that.
All right.
My hair's a normal people color now. It's not that. What did you call it? Trashy red? My
what did you
preferred
call it?
nomenclature for
I
it
forget.
is late for court red. That's what I like to refer to it
I said
as.
Raggedy Blonde. I don't remember. By the way, Bill, you put the wrong date on the live stream. It's 3-3, not 3-2.
Did I?
Somebody called and let me know, and I was like,
Where
"We're
is it?
streaming. I can see it, but it's just the wrong date. That's all."
Oh, boy, look at that. Attention to accuracy, devotion to accuracy on the part of our customers. Even if we miss something, they will take great pride in telling us how we screwed
They thought
up.
it was a best
They
of.
will relish
Oh,
it.
my bad.
Oh, okay.
My bad. No, we don't do a live stream best of.
That's
so
what I told them.
No, we don't.
That's dumb on their part.
We should, though.
Yeah.
We should. Just an empty studio.
impossible.
So all the seats are empty and it's a best of.
No, 'cause
Watch
I
the
still-
live stream. We got to get like
All right.
cutouts of ourselves that
Yeah,
don't
there you
move.
go.
We'll just
Just
put them in
sitting in
here.
the chair.
Yeah, people can live stream the best of shows, the sum of shows. We got some coming up. All right, I'm going to break. You want passes for All Fizzed Up, the premier hard seltzer festival. It's going on at the Agora on March the 21st. I will get you set up there shortly. 5:30 today is going to be your last chance today to get yourself a trip to L.A. You got 3 chances every day to get to our iHeartRadio Music Awards at the end of this month. And so 5:30, I'll have a trip for you and a pal to get to L.A.
The Alan Cox Show on 100.7 WMMS. And everywhere you go on our free iHeartRadio app. Rover's Morning Glory.
Some people are so addicted to their cell phones they